Biography of Apostle James Mckeown. His early life. Reverend James Mckeown was born on September 12, 1900 at Ballymena in Northern Ireland to his Irish parents, William John Mckeown and Elizabeth Thompson. He was brought up in a Christian home. He knew his Bible and even liked the idea of becoming a minister when he grew up. Conversion. At the age of 19, he became converted through the ministry of Reverend Robert Mercer. Reverend George Jeffrey of the Anim Foursquare Gospel Ballymena baptized James and Sophia, who later became his wife. He received his Holy Ghost baptism later. Reverend James Mckeown left school at the age of 11. Sophia, however, got educated to the advanced age of 19 and studied dressmaking for 2 years, becoming a fully qualified seamstress. Reverend James Mckeown assisted his father on the farm and later became a tram driver when an inspector on Glasgow tram put James' names forward. Marriage. He got married to Sophia Kennock in 1927. Sophia was attracted to James because of his praying habit. She said she never heard anyone pray like that before. His call to ministry. At an early meeting at which both James and Sophia were present, there was a prophecy that someone from that group would go to Africa. Reverend James Mckeown came into contact with the Apostolic whilst at Glasgow. At a large apostolic convention in England, it was specifically prophesied that James and Sophia should go to West Africa as missionaries. Both James and Sophia were not present at the convention. The executive finally informed him about the prophecy. However, like Moses, he looked into himself and realized his weaknesses. He refused the call chiefly because of his inadequate formal training. 15 months went by before he accepted the call when he could no longer contain the persistent cries of Sophia, urging him to do so. James left the United Kingdom for the then Gold Coast on a boat in February 1937. On March 4, 1937, Reverend James Mckeown arrived in the then Gold Coast to begin work as resident missionary of the Apostolic Church of Bradford. His vision. Reverend James Mckeown's vision was to help establish the church and announce the good news of God's kingdom and to be a living testimony to the people about the power of God. Political era. The apostolic missionary arrived at a time and period of profound social and political awareness, which was to pave the way for the independence of the nation in 1957. During that time, formal education was at its infant stage. The progress of Christianity in the Gold Coast was also slow, with a greater proportion of the people worshipping idols. Reverend James Mckeown therefore began his full gospel ministry within the setting of social and political tension on the other hand and general spiritual darkness on the other. He plunged into action and worked tirelessly in towns and villages in the southern part of the Gold Coast, winning thousands of converts who in turn witnessed to other people about Christ. As a man of action, Reverend James Mckeown personally took part in the manual work undertaken by the church. For example, he was actively involved in the construction of the first mission house at Asamankese. Such display of humility and service characterized his ministry to the extent that the people among whom he worked emulated his example. African mold. He lived as an African in very many ways. His meals were, for that matter, locally prepared. Earlier in his ministry, when development projects had not reached the rural areas, he drank from the typically African well dug out for him by the members. His ministry also involved extensive trekking on foot and across streams and rivers. James Mckeown made significant contributions to the spread of Pentecostalism in Ghana. He played a crucial role in establishing the Apostolic Church Ghana and later founded the Church of Pentecost, which has become one of the largest denominations in Ghana. Mckeown served as the premier superintendent and chairman of the Church of Pentecost. He nurtured and mentored many Ghanaian leaders, including Reverend Fred S. Safo, who succeeded him as the leader of the church. Mckeown adopted African customs and practices, living among the people and learning their language. He promoted self-reliance and encouraged the church to be financially independent. The James Mckeown Memorial Lecture was established to honor his contribution to the Pentecostalism in Ghana. The lecture promotes dialogue between academics and ecclesial practitioners, exploring themes related to Pentecostalism and its impact on society. Under Mckeown's leadership, the Church of Pentecost experienced significant growth, expanding its reach across Africa and beyond. Today, the church has branches worldwide, making it one of the largest Pentecostal denominations globally. He was an honest, gentle, and respected man of God. As a condiment and skillful leader, he combined humility with firmness to nurture the Church of Pentecost to the heights of success. By his wisdom granted by God, he chose a band of selfless disciples who pioneered the church from hard times to the present glorious day. In early 1982, Reverend James Mckeown decided to hand over the mantle of leadership to an African minister. He explained that age was having a telling effect on him and that it was time he retired. So on the 10th of October 1982, he inducted into office Reverend F. Asafo. He later left the shores of the country for the United Kingdom, from where he was fed with reports on the progress of the church. In 1984, Reverend James Mckeown paid his last visit to the country. Within this time, he officiated the sword cutting ceremony of the extension work at the church's headquarters in Accra. Soon after that visit, he left for good, never to return. Said he at the time of his visit, "You are witnesses that my hands are clean." On May 4th, 1989, he was called to eternal rest at his home in Ballymena, Northern Ireland.